Hi everyone and welcome to another Collectomaniac video. Now today we have a continuation really of last week's video in which I looked at my One's Customs Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake Leatherface. If you haven't already checked that video out, click on the link that's shown on your screen now or even in the description below. Now if you're a collector such as myself, you will find yourself with an array of different pieces, but also additional head sculpts. And I've been trying to find a way to really showcase these additional head sculpts without taking away from the pieces. And I've come to the decision that I'm just going to create companion videos like this, where I put the additional head sculpts that didn't originally come with the set on the piece. So without further ado, here we go. Starting with the hair on this head sculpt, you can immediately see the colouring is very similar to the remake Leatherface, although there's just quite a lot more of it. Like I said, it's styled in a very different way, whereas see that head sculpt had almost side partings, whereas this is just swept all the way back. I like the addition of the blonde streak of hair, so whether he's actually sewn that in himself, it would certainly look like it, as no normal person would have hair like that if you were to just scalp him, which I'm assuming he has done for this hair, or it's some of his own hair poking out, I'm not sure. Now if we look at the face of the mask, you'll see it's really is a patchwork, and the closest I can compare it to is the mask in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. If you certainly look at the stitching pattern, see the way it crosses over from one side of the forehead to the other, you obviously see the stitching it's at the top of the face between obviously the hair and then the skin, and also on the side you can see there's a real massive stitching on what would be his right hand side of his face, left as we're looking at it. Also it goes underneath the chin. I like the effect of the sort of almost gaps in the side of his face where you can see his actual face underneath. It's that pinkish tone. This is a nice additional touch which didn't really have in the remake mask, as well as if you look at the teeth look very similar to the sculpt on the remake mask, but the other telltale thing which reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is the way he sticks his tongue out to the side, and as you can see from the inset picture, it's very similar to that. Also interesting on this sculpt is, as I said, the first part of this, the patchwork of skin. Now to me it just looks like he has gotten a variety of almost different races and creeds of people and literally just made his own mask into it. It's different quite clearly to the Kemper mask from remake, and also from his regular, I would say, butchering mask, which looks to be all one skin from one person. Another impressive detail of this head sculpt is the shape of the eye holes. They're different shapes, which again is realistic. You're not going to have eye holes the exact same shape perfect, especially if they've been hand carved and sewn together like Leatherface is quite obviously done here. And the expression and almost the kind of deadpan stare of the look really complements what one has decided to do with the mouth and that tongue. It almost gives Leatherface this simple look, but it's what's really behind those eyes which is the scary thing about Leatherface. Overall, I like this mask. I said the additional skin tones, the blonde streak, and also the slight cutouts on the side of the face. It's a nice addition and a good concept from One's Customs here. As we look at the second concept head sculpt, as you can see, the actual facial sculpt of the mask is identical to the first one. Now, there's quite clearly a difference in the colouring and the skin colour here. This almost reminds me that the skin is really rotted and it's probably been used, to be honest, for quite a few months, perhaps even years like this. In some ways, the colouring of this sculpt actually makes him look a little bit less human, almost monster-like, whereas the first head sculpt, even though it makes him clearly look disfigured and scary, it's not quite to the same level of this, because the first sculpt you could quite easily tell it was human skin, whereas this one with the colouring looks quite different. The hair is identical, I'd say, in quality and in styling to the first sculpt, apart from it doesn't have the blonde streak at the side, and also you can see the pull strings there as well. A little detail which I haven't been able to quite capture on camera is that the actual string threads directly through the neck of the skin, which again is a nice little bit of detail and what One's Customs is quite clearly known for, in my opinion, as we've been going through these pieces. So again, even though the sculpt is identical, I like this alternative skin color that he's achieved with this head sculpt here. So for me, this was a worthwhile purchase. Overall, I'm extremely impressed by both of these head sculpts, despite the fact that the face is, as we said, quite clearly the same sculpt. The difference in the colouring really does set them apart, and even, as I said, the blonde streak downside of one, and then you compare to the other head sculpt, which, as I said, the skin colouring vastly different, and it really does have a different impact, and almost you could say really matches the colour palette of the piece up. Whereas if you were to put the almost sort of pinky flesh tone head sculpt on this piece, it would blend in, I'd say, a little bit more when you compare to the overall weathering and the colouring of Leatherface's outfit. Whereas if you were to mix it up and put the green head sculpt, it would really set it apart. Again, as I always say with my pieces, I like to have these options, and these two concept head sculpts certainly give me that. I really hope you enjoyed this short look at these two concept head sculpts. If you did, please give it a like in the comments. Let me know if you enjoy this shorter style video where we go over some of the additional or concept head sculpts I have from my pieces. And lastly, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. As I said in the previous video, I am trying to get up to 100 subs, as I do have pieces that very few people have seen, and I'm really eager to go over these pieces and hear your thoughts on them. Thank you very much for watching this Collectomaniac video, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.